everyone. Thank you very much for joining our community office hour today. Our guest speaker is here already. Thank you, Mr. Victor, for also joining. He came in right on time. So we really don't have much people on this call, but I think we are going to start now. So, Mr. Victor, please, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me turn on my camera. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and thank you for having me. Blessing. My name is Victor Eduoh, and I am the founder of Land. Land is a career growth platform, and you all know why you're here today. We want to talk about how to become a valuable and hireable backend engineer or software engineer. So I'm just going to share my screen and let's dive into this. While I do that, if you have any questions while I'm chatting, feel free to raise your hand. I think Blessing is going to respond. And then when I am done presenting, I think midway while I'm presenting, I can stop and answer your questions. But when I'm done, I can take any other question that you have. Okay, if you hear me and you're ready to dive in, maybe just leave a thumbs up or any emoji of your choice. Great. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen? I'm no longer hearing you, so let me just maybe you say something so I know you're hearing me. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so what makes a backend engineer? And then, of course, you can replace backend with front end or software. What makes a backend engineer valuable and hireable in 2026? And ultimately, we want to talk about how you land your dream role because as backend engineers, all the education we are doing in mastering backend is to, position you so that you become the highly sought after employee of any company you choose to work with. And for you to do that, you need to move from applying to 100 plus applications to finding the right conversations, maybe just 10 of them that sets you on the path to becoming valuable and hireable. So, the first place we need to start is by calling out the realities in front of us and the ATS system that, and of course, you should know what ATS is, the application tracking system. Most companies, if you don't know, they receive thousands and hundreds of thousands of applications. So no hiring manager has the time to start looking at each of these resumes one after the other. So what do? They use an ATS, and when they are setting up ATS for their companies, they set up very specific criterias that they use to filter out the applications that they are getting. So when you send in your applications and you are not getting response, it's not because the company doesn't want to hear from you or that maybe the ATS software is broken. It is working exactly as it was designed. For instance, you should think of an application system as a poorly configured regex filter. Of course, as engineers, you know what regex filter means. So if you are applying for a job and you put something like customer success, but the ATS filter was looking for something like client management, technically they mean the same thing. But the ATS software is going to flag down your own resume and pick up the one that has the very specific keyword that the company set up when they were setting that job application. So the reality means that even when you are a highly qualified talent, you get discarded simply because the application materials you're using to apply don't match the keyword string that was defined in the ATS software. And the truth from that is that the system is designed to manage volume and not to find the best engineer. That's a very important point you have to note because some people are able to game the ATS system and then they land interviews. You that maybe you were more qualified, and if you got to that interview stage, you were maybe 100% likely to get the job. You don't even get it, you don't even go past the ATS. So that's why we say that the ATS is designed for volume. It's not necessarily designed to be able to filter out the most qualified talent. And talking about being valuable and hireable, if you don't even make it past the first filter, you don't even get the chance for the company to look at you and know if you're valuable and someone they should hire. So that's a very big red flag. So you should look at it this way. So when you apply repeatedly and you're hearing nothing, it's because most engineers they treat job hunting like a DDoS attack. So they send thousands of generic requests to every entry point. The result is that companies rate limit you, so your resume ends up in a PDF graveyard. And the core pain is that you're optimizing for volume when you should be optimizing for deliverability. So you're not optimizing for, hey, how many jobs can you apply to? Your most important need is to ensure that the applications you're making is getting delivered to the right people. That importantly, it makes it past the first filter. Now, and for you to do that, the first thing you have to do is not necessarily going to game the ATS software, is for you to uncover the unspoken needs in back-end roles. For instance, a job description is just the front end. When you look at a back-end job description, what you're seeing there is like what you would have coded. What you're seeing there is the result of what you would have coded in the back end. The front end, the front end in this case, which is the job description, is just a representation of a hiring decision that there's a core back end hiring decision that influence that job description you're seeing in the front end. So it's like an iceberg. At the top is just one small iceberg that you can ignore. But deep below, there are core business problems that the company is trying to hire for, which is why they even put up that job description in the first place. So the shift you need to understand is that companies aren't hiring for Python skills. So when you go and look at a job description and you say, oh, they need Python skills, it's not just that Python skills they're hiring for. They are hiring to solve a very specific latency issue or a database bottleneck. This is very, very important because you'll be looking at, oh, I have Python skills, I have Java skills. No, it's not just those skills that you have, but are you able to interpret those skills in the context of the business problems that they are trying to solve? Else, there's no way you'll be able to demonstrate yourself as valuable before you even get to hireable. So your goal is that you should move past keyword matching and identify the strategic initiatives the company is actually running. Because when you do this, you achieve two things. First, you learn how to beat the ATS software, but not just beating it for the sake of beating it in a way that once your application access gets delivered to the hiring company, they look at it and they say, wow, this person looks very valuable even from afar. And this is one of the kind of persons we need to hire. That's how you start landing interviews and all that. So let's proceed. So all of this process, we know we are living in an AI era, has been expedited with AI. So today you can simply just pick up a job description, go to ChatGPT, go to Claude, go to Perplexity, and tell it to write a resume for you. What happens is that most of this ATS software they lean on generic information, so they hallucinate and then they start throwing things every left, right, and center that doesn't even match your skill. So AI actually has replaced a lot of things, but there are things that it has not replaced. What it has replaced is generic mechanical star method interview answers and rehearsed TED talks. Those things do not have a place again. But what it can't replace is your ability to explain the decisions and reasons behind your architecture. So it's like you use AI for what AI is good at, but that doesn't mean that it replaces the need for you to be able to go out there and demonstrate that you are a valuable and someone a company needs to hire. So the new expectations is that recruiters assume your resume is AI optimized. So to stand out, you need digital proof of your problem solving ability. Even if you were hiring, for instance, you on this call, you know that so many people are just going to use ChatGPT or any other AI tool to just speed through writing their resume. The problem isn't whether the resume is optimized. The problem now is Can you demonstrate with digital proof that you have a problem solving ability that they actually need in their company? Because when you look at it, nobody is just hiring anybody for the sake of hiring. They're hiring you as a software engineer, as a back-end engineer, because there are core business problems they want you to help them solve that would contribute to their bottom line. So how do you demonstrate that value? You demonstrate that value in three ways. First, resonance. So, do you speak their language? Not just the code that you can write, but their mission and terminology. Then you move to relevance. Can you map your past wins directly to their current pain points? This is crucial. It's not enough to say, hey, I've worked at Mastering Backend, I've worked at Google, I've worked at Microsoft. All those are good and fine. But can you tailor those places you've worked at or those experiences you've had, whether it's from side projects, to the core problems or the core pain points that the company has? If you're not able to do that, there is no way, of course, for you to demonstrate that you're valuable, let alone being considered as hireable. And then lastly, you need to actually show the results. You need to come with receipts. So can you quantify your impact? For instance, you reduce server costs by 20% versus I manage AWS. So some people go and say, what results have you achieved? Say, I manage AWS. Well, that's good and fine, but anybody can manage AWS. What results did you achieve for your in your past experience that relates to managing AWS? And that's where I want to introduce the land logic. So land, which you can find at land.me, we have a logic we call resonance, relevance, and results. Those are the three logic we use to build the strategic application assets for our users and customers. We always want to ensure that every time you're trying to apply to a job, the way you demonstrate that you're valuable and hireable is by resonating with the company's mission, aligning your wins directly to their pain points, and then quantifying impacts that are relevant to the problems they are trying to solve and the goals they are trying to achieve. So that's why you have you here in the center. So let's proceed. Now, the next thing is that you need to move past basic CRUD and frameworks. Because when you look at job applications today, it's almost as if companies are looking for a unicorn guru. And of course, you know what a unicorn guru means, somebody that can do everything that they want. So recruiters are looking for the delta, the gap between a standard dev and a strategic engineer. AI can write code now. AI can do, in fact, AI can write code more than so many people now. So why should they still hire you when AI can write code? It's not just the code that you bring. You have to be a strategic engineer, somebody who can see beyond the code to understand how the code drives the business forward. And then, of course, you need to have what we call stakeholder. You need to, so for that, you need to understand strategic project execution. You have to prove you can solve a problem even before you are hired. Because when companies know that AI can write code and it's obvious to them that code is not just the problem that they have, then you have to prove to them that, well, me too, it's not just code. I can solve a problem. I can channel the generation of that code, whether it's by myself or with AI, to solve a problem that you have. And then, secondly, and very importantly, you need to have what we call stakeholder communication. Yes, you can write the code. Can you communicate the value of the product that that code built to stakeholders? Can the CEO of the company or the product manager, can they look up to you and say, hey, we are having this issue. How do you think we do? You need to demonstrate that you can have stakeholder communications, because as AI learns how to write code more and more, it's not like it's going to completely displace engineers. What is going to happen is that it's going to displace those engineers who the only thing they brought to the table was clean code. Because when it comes to clean code, I'm not even sure anybody can match AI in this day and age. So for most of us, we are junior engineers. We've not risen up to VP of engineering at Google or anything like that. We are mid to junior engineers, and most times we do not have as much experience for us to demonstrate value from a mile away. If you've worked at Google, for instance, and you're applying to a startup, the immediately jump on you because they feel like you come with a wealth of experience that they can tap into. But when you've gone through, for instance, a couple of courses on mastering back end, grinded through weeks, all through the night, learning code, putting all those things you've practiced without real hands-on experience, you're a junior engineer. So how do you stand out so that you are perceived as valuable and hireable? The first thing you want to do is you have to stop being passive. So traditional job application tool just encourage you to spray and pray. That is high, like they tell you, apply to 100 jobs, apply to 200 jobs in a day. Maybe something is going to stick. No, nothing is going to stick. Instead, it's going to leave you with more frustration. So junior engineers, that's where at least most of us fall into. Of course, some of us are mid engineers, but where we fall into is that we can win if we are proactive and not reactive. And that's where the strategic project strategy comes in. So if you're trying to apply for a role, instead of just sending your resume, sending your cover letter, and hoping that somebody is going to read that alongside reading 200 others, and then you be the one, maybe you're expecting that they're going to fold it and cast it into a raffle ticket, into a raffle draw, spin it around, and maybe through your prayers, you'll be the one they will pick. Well, there's a place for that. But how about instead of hoping for that, you actually find 3 to 5 high impact role specific projects that you can complete in 1 to 3 days and show the results instead of just saying, I can do the job. So it's like you send your resume, you send your application assets quite all right, but you don't fold your hands and go to sleep hoping that a miracle will happen. That you're contesting with sometimes even up to 1,000 other people vying for that position, and some of them may have more experience than you. So you demonstrate proactiveness. You don't just, you know, be passive and hoping that something would stick. And that's where some of the things I'm going to introduce you to in this as we proceed comes in. We have the Jack, like job application kit items, where you find like high impact projects that you can immediately complete. You use that to outreach people who can stir up conversations for you and make the companies you're trying to get hired at see you as valuable. So let's proceed. Now, once you have the project ideas that you can use to demonstrate your value instead of just folding your hands and be passive, the next thing you want to do is you want to bypass the gatekeepers. So, what do I mean by gatekeepers? So, when you apply to a job, usually all these companies they collect their applications through ATS softwares. Those are gatekeepers. You know, it's like a black box, let's call it a black hole. You don't know, like you really don't know the criteria that is set in that black box and what is going to filter out of it. You don't know, you're not in the company, you didn't set up that process. So the traditional job board is like a black hole where resumes disappear. Because if you've been applying to roles, I'm sure you have the experience of applying to a job and not even getting a notification, not even getting a follow up. If what is the stage of my application? Where am I at? Was I considered for the role? You don't even know. You just applied and they say, thank you for submitting your application. No follow up message, nothing. And that goes into a black hole. So the strategy is that when you do that, even when you get a notifications, which most times it is automated, you need a strategy to bypass the gatekeepers. So you use personalized code call or code outreach to move your applications directly into starting a conversation. And how you do that is by targeting, for instance, a VP of engineering, maybe or head of engineering, the hiring manager, or even an employee within the company that you think can start a conversation in your favor. So many people don't do this and they end up not demonstrating the value that they can bring to a company. Let me give you an instance. Here at Mastering Backend, sometimes we hire a lot, and anytime we put up job offers, we get a lot of applications. But once in a while, we get somebody that goes beyond just submitting their resume and reaches out to Solomon or any other person on the team and tell them, hey, I did this small thing. I applied though, but I did this small thing. I just wanted to share with you and if you want to like chat and all that. And while we have a pile up of maybe hundreds of other applications on the back end, we have already started a conversation with somebody who was proactive and came with something of value. So that's how you bypass the gatekeepers. So let's proceed. So the core point at this stage that you need to take home from this presentation and this office hour is that you should stop sending your PDFs to the graveyard. So because a resume is a static two-dimensional document that often fails to capture your true potential. And once your true potential is not captured, there is no way on earth for anybody to consider that you are valuable and hireable. And of course, this is just January. If you start implementing some of the things you're learning in this office hour today, by March, for instance, you can make yourself become truly valuable and hireable. So two ways you can do this is through Jack and the Jam advantage. So the Jack is like a complete suite of job application kit items that you get for each role you want to apply to. That includes a custom made resume for you, a cover letter, and outreach message material, ideas that you can execute for each job you're targeting to know to make those cold outreach with something of value and start a conversation instead of just waiting for the ATS software to pick you. And why all this? And then Jam. Jam is like a job application microsite. So instead of just sending your resume, imagine if you completed a project and you had it in a small, maybe 3-page website where you can share something like, hey, I applied to this role, I completed this project, and I just wanted to show you. So that gives a shareable interactive link that maybe if you send it to a hiring manager, they can send it to a VP and say, ha, one of the people who applied for that role actually created this and you want to look at this. All of these things are things that are possible, or you can do these things manually. For instance, you can go to Figma Make, start a project, and then tell it to like create a 2-page website for you. You can do that. But the only difference with Land is that Land has the context of your career trajectory, does the deep research into the company to look beyond the job description and actually recommends the projects that you should actually do and guides you to do them. So why this works is that it forces recruiters to move you past the 5-6 second scan and engage with your strategy and business impact, or the business impact you can bring to the table when you do. So I'm just going to like quickly summarize with, I've told you that this goal here isn't to sell you land. I happen to just be the founder of land. So there's no way I was going to talk about this without the context of how land makes the problem easier. For everything I have shared, like looking beyond the job description, from like finding project ideas, if you apply common sense, you'll be able to do all those things. From like going to find who you should maybe send those project ideas to once you've completed them, common sense can help you do all that. Land is just a tool that helps you, go through the process more strategically. And we have a very strong philosophy at Land. It is optimized to help you actually land a role, to demonstrate that you're valuable and hireable. So you land a role, not just applying. And how we do that is like there are a couple of things that makes land stand out. For instance, is the pricing model. It's not like any of these other job application tools where you are forced to apply monthly. No, you only use what we call job application kit items. You only pay for a kit item when you find a role you really really want and you see that you are a high fit for. So there's no monthly subscriptions. Now, the core optimization is that most tools they just optimize for land. It's like, see, applying to job doesn't make you valuable. Applying to hundreds and 50 or like whatever number you want to name, it does that is not what makes you valuable. So if you keep optimizing for applying to jobs, I think most people waste, in fact, most of us waste the time we should have used to develop our skills applying to jobs. And that's not a way to make yourself valuable and hireable in 2026. Let me give you an instance. If, for instance, you want to apply to a software, let's say a backend engineering job at a dream company, the first thing you need to have if you want to become valuable and present yourself as hireable is that you need to have what I call the abundance mindset. Some of us feel like if I don't apply to this job today, if I don't apply to this job today, I'm going to lose out. No, when you see a job, you analyze the job and you tell yourself the truth that, okay, there are key things I am missing on this role. Don't just send your resume and hope that something would happen. I think it's a false play to expect that if a company receive, even if it's 50 applications for a job, that they are going to skip somebody who is more qualified and come and hire you because of the prayers that you made. I know that prayers do work, but put yourself in the shoes of the hiring company. If you start a company tomorrow and you are hiring people, if you receive applications for the role you're hiring for, are you going to skip somebody whose resume and who has gone the extra mile to demonstrate that they are valuable and go hire somebody who, you are not sure if they can do the job because you feel like the Holy Spirit led you? Like, it's like it doesn't really happen like that in real life. So at land guides you that even when you're not qualified for roles, the gaps that it identifies for you, it gives you a plan to work on those gaps. And that's why I mentioned the abundance mentality. Those roles you're rushing to apply for today and getting frustrated that you're not getting hired, you're going to see other companies hiring for those roles, even more companies hiring for those roles 3, 6 months down the line. So why not spend time looking at the roles you aspire to, spend time building your skills to fill those gaps, and then make sure that you've gotten to the point where if the push comes to shove, a company would hire you whether there was a prayer involved or not. And then other things that makes land different is that for storytelling, most application tools they just use generic templates. As I have showed you, land uses the strategic 3 R's formula storytelling template where we ensure that all your application items resonates, it's relevant to the core pains that the company has, and it demonstrates your results, not just mention like generic things like I manage AWS. And then the market stance. So you apply to 100 jobs, fold your hands, hope that something happen. Land takes a proactive approach where you get a jack and a jam to demonstrate your value. So now, if you want to like become valuable and hireable in 2026 and your goal is to land a job, the truth is that you don't necessarily need 100 plus applications. Nobody's going to give you an award for applying to 1,000 jobs. So, how about you stepped back? You stopped playing the volume game where you are always invisible and start playing the intelligence game where you are irresistible. Land, you can do this manually, but Land helps you do this in 3 ways. Number one, you import your resume once into Land and you build a career vault for yourself. So using that your resume, Land is going to, pinpoint skills you need to work on, pinpoint things you need to do, well guided roadmap that you need to work on. And then if you come with jobs that you like, Land is going to analyze it and give you a very conservative role fit score. So this role fit score tells you right off the bat, like, am I even qualified to apply to this role? You don't just keep doing things blindly and hoping to be perceived as valuable and hireable. And then thirdly, only when Land identifies that, wow, you stand a chance in this role, that's when it asks you to generate a job application kit for that role. That's the only time where you have to pay. And when we say pay, we are looking at something less than $5 per job application kit. You get everything that you want, all the application materials, the project ideas, how you should execute them. You see the names of the specific people you should send the projects to after you've completed them. You can use those messages across LinkedIn, email, anywhere you're applying to jobs. Like, let me even give you a context. Like, I chatted with someone this morning and she said part of the messages that Land generated for her after she generated a job application kit, that she applied to a job on Well Found. Some of us may know Well Found. And when you apply to a job on Well Found, you get this chat box that comes up for that job where you can interact with the hiring manager and all that stuff. So she's been applying to jobs there. She didn't get any. So what she did, she went to pick one of the outreach messages that Land generated for her as part of her job application kit and use that to initiate a conversation with the hiring manager. She did that yesterday. She reached out to me out of excitement and said for the first time, a hiring manager has scheduled an interview with her just because of that outreach message. I'm not saying this to kind of brag, but that's the reality of taking time to demonstrate your value. That message was quite long. It was almost 250 words. It was quite long. That's because it was crafted to resonate with the hiring manager, be relevant to the pain points that they're hiring for, and it demonstrated the results that she can bring for them. Those are the three ways that you can demonstrate that you're valuable and hireable in 2026. Like, I hope I've not just been blabbing around the bush. So I'm going to pause here and let you answer some questions. Anything you want to know from what I have said, if you want to even know how to do it manually, I can even share some tips for you to do it and all that stuff. So I'm going to pause here and let me know the questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Victor. Please, if you have a question, you can just use the emoji, raise up your hand, or you drop your question on the message box, and I can read it out.
While we wait for you guys to ask questions, since we have time and this is supposed to be interactive, we have about 15 minutes or thereabouts. Like, I want to hear your experiences. Like, if you don't mind, if you want to talk, you can raise up your hand and talk. Maybe just talk for 1 minute. Keep it very short so that other people can have the time to talk. What has been your own pain points in terms of demonstrating yourself as valuable and hireable? Like, if you want to share that with us so that I can help you, we can like run through it together. Are we no questions? Nobody has anything to say. Like, can they blessing? Can they even hear me?
Me, I can hear you, and I don't know why the house is so
Why
calm.
is it
So
so quiet? Like,
please,
I feel like
it's an interactive section. Please, it's not all
I feel
about learning and learning. You can speak up,
I
please.
I feel like it's almost like I dropped a bomb and then everybody is trying to like soak it in and like kind of they are dumbfounded or something like that. Please, let's chat, let's talk, please.
Okay, I think let me just ask this question. Okay, so far from what you've shared, so what kind of resume or what are the key things that should be found in someone's resume that will make the person hireable in this time?
I think, honestly speaking, the key thing that you need to do for your resume is to just ensure that it goes through the ATS. Telling you from experience as someone that hires people almost every time, I can't remember when I sat down and actually read resumes, honestly speaking. So
Mm,
I have this ATS software where when I put up a role, I automatically just set up some of the things I'm looking out for based on the job description that I set. And when I get like 100 or 50 applications, the ATS software just tells me, just shortlist it automatically to like 10 or 5. And then I just maybe send an automated message to those people telling them that I've moved them to the next step and this is what they need to do. I can't. It was back in the days that I would just stay and start reading resumes one after the other. So for your resume,
mm.
you need to pick the key. You need to ensure that it aligns with the keywords, like keywords that are on the on the job description. And then secondly, you phrase the keywords in a way that it also aligns with the business problems that they are trying to solve. Like I showed in the presentation. If I go back to this slide, let me come back here. So here you see something like you can see Python skills as the skill. Do you understand? So definitely you still have to add Python skill so that it's going to pass that ATS filter. But you need to phrase it like your ability to use Python skills to solve latency issue or a database bottleneck. Do you understand? Then it's like you make the ATS software understand that not just have you ticked the keyword, but you've ticked it in the context of the business problem that the company has. Does that make sense? You're mute.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does. So you talked about ATS software. So can you share maybe some ATS software that one can use before sending out a resume? You check if it actually matches or corresponds to the job description that you're about to
Okay.
apply for.
The thing is, you can't. ATS software is used by the company to create these jobs. So you don't have internal. You can't go and you can't use my own ATS software, for instance. But what happens is that this is where a tool like Land helps. So if you use Land to craft your resume, it is going to show you on the left hand side, it will show your resume on the right hand side, show you all the keywords that needs to be included in the resume on the left hand side, and then you see your optimization score. This is not a land page, so I didn't really bring all those like images to like demonstrate. But you would see your optimization score. So you would see that okay, the current resume that Land has crafted for you has a score of say 70%. And then Land is going to show you that these are the other keywords that needs to be included. So you can, mandate Land to like include those keywords automatically, or like you use common sense to know how you weave them into the resume so that you get to a score of like, I think the goal is to always aim for a score of 50 to no sorry a score of like 90 and above. That's usually the goal. So using a tool like Land would help you on like know your ATM optimization score.
Thank you very much for that. So, I believe everybody is hearing. So, about land, we had a section for land, which I will reshare the recorded video on a Slack channel so that we can actually sign up using that. So, Mr. Victor, I'm going to ask you another question because I've had some of our community members talking about them applying for jobs and they are not being called back, especially junior developers. So, what do you think in this time that we have AI taking over a lot of things? And there's this thing that AI is going to take over a lot of people's job. So, what do you think a junior developer should have? Skills that the person needs to have to upskill himself in this time so that you're going to become valuable and hireable? And what do you think they're doing wrong in applying? Because a lot of them will say, oh, I've done a lot of projects and it's on my Git, is there. And while you were talking, you talked about having a website, a mini website on Figma where you can just demonstrate some of the projects that you've done. So I'm just trying to ask. So
Okay.
what are the skills, AI
Okay.
skills that they can learn to improve themselves
So
so that they can become, yeah.
So let me answer that question. So I think again, not just because I want to pitch land, but that question aligns with how we've built land. So like I was saying, if you want to apply for say an AI engineer at a company, and the first thing you want to ask yourself is you have to tell yourself the truth. What I mean by that is you have to understand what am I lacking for a role like this. Do you understand? I can't tell you these are the skills you need to take for you to get hireable or become valuable because roles are different. I can tell you now, say, go and take this course, go and take this one, go and do that one. But are they specific to the things that the kind of roles you're looking for? Are they specific to the things they are trying to solve? So, my rule of thumb is this: if you're a junior engineer and you're looking to learn, let's say, an AI engineering role, go and look for an AI engineering roles, the ideal kind of jobs that you would love to apply to or you would love to get hired for. Analyze them and identify the gaps that you have right now. So if you've had so many projects on JIT and all that, of course, get it into a resume. Do you understand? Get it, build your profile, then analyze job against that profile. So this is something you can do completely free in Land. So if you go to Land now, that's land.me and sign up, the first thing Land will tell you to do is that you should upload your resume. When you upload your resume, it's going to like, extract your experiences, they'll put them and then further ask you that for each of the experiences that are extracted, you should add the skills, what you did, the problems you solved, and all that. If you go over to your profile on land too, it tells you that you should add all the projects that you've done. So whether it's a course you've taken, all those things, that's what we call that your career vault. Now, once you've built your career vault, and this is not necessarily because I want to promote land. If you go and sign up for something like ChatGPT, and you pay for the paid plan of $20 a month. You create a project in ChatGPT and upload all these things. And then in that project, you pick up a role that you're admiring and put it there. Tell ChatGPT that, hey, I love this role, analyze this role against my profile and tell me the gaps that I'm missing. You're going to get something decent. The difference that you get with land is that land doesn't just analyze the job description. Land takes it one step further to analyze the company behind the job description. So while ChatGPT will just give you the skills on the surface level, Land will make you understand the core problems that they are looking for, which is why they are seeking those skills. And you can do this for free in Land again, at least for now. We've not made this a paid plan yet, which we are going to make a paid plan very soon. So you build your profile in Land, you take those roles, just three of them or four of them. Be patient. You are a junior engineer. Be patient. You take those roles, you analyze them. Just study the analysis. You're going to see the company context. You're going to get a job analysis deep dive. You're going to get a strategic fit analysis, all free. And then when you've analyzed like three jobs, you move over to the career growth agent. The career growth agent builds you a plan of skills you need to work on based on the jobs you are analyzing. So it's detecting that that is the career trajectory that you're trying to make. If you work on those skills, build projects in those skills, and come back and update them on your profile, you increase your odds of landing jobs. So that's the answer I have for you. You can do it manually, you
Okay.
can do it on your own with any LLM, just that the information you get there may be generic. If you choose to, you can do it with land. But the most important thing is that as a junior engineer or as a mid level engineer, the competition is very high. Skills are not just enough, you need projects. And all of these things I'm sharing are the ways you'll be able to get those projects to make you stand out.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So please, if you have questions, guys, please you can raise up your hand. Let's ask him questions.
Ask
Please.
me
This
questions,
is
please.
this is an interactive section. So please let's ask questions.
I have one question.
Thank you. You can ask.
Hi. There are companies which has a rule against using of AI, and I'm not very sure, but I've read somewhere that they use the token form and everything. So when we use the messages and the cover letters, and uh, will it like, since it's also a part of AI and it's updating from AI, do we have to rework on it, or is just for us to how to pitch yourself?
Well, I can't. I think 2 years ago, companies were like, they had this red tape against using AI. But I think we are getting to the point where I don't really know. Does it really matter what you use to create it? The problem is that when it's obviously AI, like you just see it is generic, it's bland. I think that's where the problem is. You understand? Like even you on LinkedIn, if you're scrolling LinkedIn or anywhere you read content and you see something like it's AI generated, it just there's a way to just turn you off when it's just poorly done. So the way we try to fix that and land is that, of course, it still comes down to the three R's formula of resonance, relevance, and results. The way we try to fix that is that whatever you get is built from your own profile. It's built like you were the one doing this thing or writing this thing. In that case, that makes the AI an enabler, not a dependency for you. So, of course, to your question, if AI generates it for you, common sense just says that you should look at it critically to know if there are some adjustments that needs to be made. At least that has already taken away 90% of the grunt work for you. But there are cases where you don't need to. So I don't think companies are going to penalize you for using AI to create this, because They are using AI to scan you. Before your resume even gets to their table, it has gone through an AI scan. In fact, it's called application tracking system for a reason. If we are even getting to the point where AI will do the interview first before somebody even talks to you. So I'm not sure anybody is going to penalize. What they are going to penalize is when you do, maybe you just, because most people just go to ChatGPT, paste the job description, tell AI to write the resume for them. They don't even take some time to look at it. And because ChatGPT is open source, it's generic, it's not like a tool like LAN that is benchmarking against your own career to ensure that the things you're saying are actually real experiences that you've lived. You get something that anybody who is a bit experienced will just roll their eyes over and feel like this person is just wasting my time. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Bose. Are there other questions? Please, you can ask.
We have few minutes to go, so please, if you have your
Few
question,
minutes to
just pop
go.
those questions up. Let's make ourselves valuable and hireable. We are getting that job in 2026, so like we are getting those jobs in this 2026. We are
Yes,
not building
yes.
this community to keep educating you guys. We want to, Mastering Backend is out to educate you so that, because it's actually when you succeed that Mastering Backend grows, which is why we are having this office hours, bringing in people from outside to come educate us. It's so that we get hired, we grow, because when we grow, people see that okay, you learn something from Mastering Backend, and they won't come join the community too. So please bring your questions. Let's try to address them now.
Okay, I don't know. Also, do you have any question? Thank God, Emmanuel, Isaac. There are a lot of persons here. Please, if you have questions, you can ask. This year we are out to educate and also make sure that our community grow, making people get jobs. It's important. It's not just building communities, educating people, and there's no people are not being employed. So please let's use leverage on this opportunity that we have. Okay, Mr. Victor, I feel like everybody is just trying to take in what they have had so far. So thank you very much for
We have somebody just raised hand, so I think you
okay, okay.
unmute them to ask that question.
Okay. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
All
can.
right. So mine is not really a question. And like how blessed I was trying to conclude. I just want to say thank you for the session. Actually, things I took away from the sessions are more of the things that I need to work on. So everything was clearly explained. So you just on my own part now to do the work right required. So I just said let me just also make that shout out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other person, you have something to say, you have something to add, please, you can ask your question. So, Isaac, I think this is my first time of seeing you in any of our meetings. Please, can you speak? Isaac, can you hear me? Jerry, you were asking on the chat which software is that? It's called LAN. So we had a meeting last year, December, where LAN was actually introduced. So we are going to the section was actually recorded, which Mr. Victor was the speaker for that. So I'm going to reshare the recordings on our Slack channel so that you can watch. And also we have a bonus to for every persons that are signing up from Mastering Backend. So you can sign up and you get to use it. So thank you. I really wanted to hear Isaac speak, but so far, Mr. Victor, thank you very much for this wonderful section.
You're
So I
welcome.
just want to remind everyone in our community that being valuable as a backend engineer in 2026 is not just about knowing everything. It's about solving real problems, consistency. Today we are talking about AI job markets and the frustration of applying without having feedback. If there are one takeaway or takeout that we have gotten from this thing is that the industry is still hiring. So because AI is there does not mean that they have stopped hiring. They're hiring, but it's differently. Things are done differently this time. curiosity, clarity, and proof is a skill that now matters in this our time. Also, thank you, Mr. Victor, again for taking this invite and for speaking to us. Thank you for the motivation. So, to everyone here, do not leave this section without just being inspired alone. As you're taking everything in, you just also have to work on your resume, work on yourself. You just don't say, I'm a engineer, backend engineer. Please have something to show, do projects. That's why most times in our community we have sprint. Please join the sprint, do the sections. It's even to our own advantage. That particular section is being paid for, but people pay for it, especially our MB projects. People pay for it, but we are so opportune because we're part of the community. We use it like they're giving it to us, give us access to use it without paying for it. So when you see Sprint like that, let's make the opportunity. Work on something so that you have something to present. While you're doing all of this, you're building yourself up. You're building yourself for this time. Every organization wants a proof. Tell us what you can do. It's not really about I have to show certificate, I have this. It's about what you can do. So work on yourself. Pick one thing that you can build, improve yourself. And thank you for showing up. Thank you for your participation in our community. I know a lot of persons I want to give shout out Oluwa, Tosin, a lot of persons that have been consistent. They see our posts and also participate in our puzzles every day. Share your thoughts. You don't know, someone can teach you something. You can learn something from those puzzles. Please engage in our community, our Slack community. Like a lot is going on there, and a lot is still going to be there. A lot of webinars like this, sections like this will be happening this year. Please let's endeavor to put in our best and also work on ourselves. Thank you for joining this section once again. So the
Okay.
recording of this section.
All right, guys.
Okay, Mr. Victor.
Yeah. So let me leave you guys to round up in the community. Yeah, I have to jump up. It was nice talking to you guys. If you have any follow up questions, land is free to use. At least for now, it's still completely. It's still like 70% free. Some of the things I talked about here, you can start doing it on land for free. That's land.me. LAAND.me. The idea is land me a job. That's why we called it land.me. And then if you want to take things further, if you want to like take it for a spin and apply for a job and maybe land your first success story as someone that shared with me today did, for the community here in Mastering Backend, though the first coupon we created has expired, just a couple of people used it. Reach out to Blessing when you're ready, and we could give you a little discount for you to take it for a spin.
Thank you, Mr. Victor.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
You're welcome.
So